Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this video where we are going to build this screen with HTML and CSS. It's a pretty big project. It will definitely take a bit of time, but I think it will be fun. So first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Haroom Shadiqui for providing us with this design. You can search it for free in the Figma community. And if you want to use it yourself, you can click on duplicate, but before that you do have to make an account, and then you can check out the design. So I definitely recommend you to do that. So that being said, I just made a new directory, and we will just start as always with making our index.html file and put our boilerplate in there and our style.css file, and we will of course link it, that CSS file, to our CSS. There we go. And we are also going to add another file. I will call it style reset.css, and I will show you probably in the last part of this video why we use it. But if you Google for reset CSS, and you have to get the one from MireWeb, you can just copy this code, and I won't explain it right now in detail, but what it does, the browser adds some default styling, and in a lot of cases this this can be pretty burdensome to kind of like fight the default browser settings. So I personally prefer to have my styles reset. However, this is not something you need to do. It's optional, but I do recommend it, at least for this example, because I will be using it as well. So, and also of course we have to import that one in our HTML file. So if I would go over creating this page, I would start out with just making the HTML. So let's do exactly that. So we won't be making this header because that's like the default part of the like a default setting of the phone, of course. We will also not make this web page suitable for like desktop devices, because then we have to go over all the media query things again. That will take even more, and then it will take even more time. So let's just focus on the mobile view. So right here I see a header, and it has like, well, on the left side it has like a button, and in that it has an image, and I will already put the alt text because that will be a menu. So I also see a logo, so we could go on and call it logo. And on the right side, another image, which seems to be the, let's call it avatar. One section below, I'd say that this is one separate section. So add a section tag P. And now if you are in Figma, what you can do is you can control click right here, and the content comes available. So I can copy that because I'm a lazy developer. Same for here. But I do also recommend you to do this because it makes, you know, typos, well, less likely. So let's see. So we have these two P tags, and then we need also an input tag, and this will be a search input. And we'll see in a minute why that's a nice thing to have. All right. So the next one, let's say this thing right here is a section as well. And in that section, we will have this, I would say, is an unordered list of list items. And right here, you see this is a part where you can slide but we will just make these 3 links because it's just a little easier. So I would say headphone, headband, and ear pads. Okay. So that's the unordered list. Then right here, I see a sort of card. And again, this is also a part where you could swipe to see more products. But we will just not do that for now. Same for these 2 cards. We will just keep 1 card in place to make things a little easier. So I'll give it an article tag. And the reason I do that is that usually if you have like a self-contained piece of content, most of the time you can wrap that in an article tag. So you can think about a blog post, or if you're on, well, for example, on this site, you could say that each product is also a self-contained piece of content. So if you click here, you probably go to the product page. So that would make sense to wrap it in an article tag. So I see right here we have, at least that's how I would do it, we have a left part and a right part. So I will make a div, and I will just bring in the p tag right here. And then right here, we have this, again, another p tag, or you could say a link as well. Let's make it a link, but it also has an image. So what I will do, I will say anchor tag, and this, for example, goes to the headphone page. It doesn't exist, of course, but just to make it as realistic as possible. And in there we got this, let's see, I think we can do this. We could say shop now. We have the image tag, which then has arrow right. Okay, so that's for this part, so the left part, and then the right part will be an image, alt text of headphone. And we will be importing these the images in a couple of minutes. So that's an article tag. Then we have the next thing. I would say that's another section of featured products. Now, there we go. Copy, and we have another anchor tag. Let's see, let's go to the shop, for example. Okay. And then we have, again, we have a div of cards. So we could say this is an, for example, you could say it's an unordered list of list items. I think we could do that. And then we do not have to use the article tag. I mean, you can wrap everything in a div as well, but I recommend you to keep it a little bit more clear about what you're doing. However, to keep things consistent, because we have been using the article tag, I think it might be better to go for a div and then say this is, so this card is an article. So right there we have an image of a headphone. And then we have the p tag right here. Oops. Yes. And the price. So we have another one, but we'll add that later, so it keeps our code a little bit more clean. So if we save it right now, and I open this up with live server, I mean, this is just plain HTML. So now we are going to style it. I'll take the Pixel 2. You can take whatever phone you like, but I like this one because it's a little bigger than, for example, the iPhone X. And especially since we're working on a split screen, this makes it a little easier to check. what we are actually doing. So first, I want to import these assets, and this is what Figma allows you to do. So if you have images or logos whatsoever, you can export them. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the same one. 7 assets we need to export. So let's check it out. That's the icon. We also want to have that arrow right here. And we have the, let's see, where is it? There we go. Icon right here. And you can also export them individually, but I will just put them together now. Ctrl Shift, and I can then, oh wait, this seems to be, wait a second, logo, then this one as well, the headphone, and the cable. So now if I click on design, I can go down, see the export button, and then I can export 7 layers. So that's what I'm going to do. So I will just unzip them right now. Let's see. Yes, there we go. So now I can, I will just bring in these 3 right here. We've got the product. Let's paste it. Yes, because this has the same name. So we will call this headphone. Yes, perfect. So now I will just name them arrow right. That seems to be good. We got an avatar. We got the headphone. We got the cable. We got ourselves the logo. I'll just rename the files because it makes it easier for us to organize things. Search, that's fine. So I will make a new folder. I'll call it assets. And I will put those files in there. Perfect. Okay. So I will start at the header section right here. So let's import the images first. So we have our assets and we have our menu. We have our logo. Oops. And our avatar. There we go. So now we save it. You will see we have them right here. Now, since we wrap the menu in a button, I will add a, well, first let's lay them out properly. So the header will take a class, just call it header. And I can, for example, say display flex and give it a justify content between. Perfect. And I could also, well, this looks pretty good already. Here we have the button, and I can give that a class menu. And here I will say border none. Outline, which is, by the way, if I click it, you see this. Well, you see the thing is changing, so I can set that to none as well. And here I will say the background to none. And that should, yes, there we go. Perfect. Now, it seems to me that all the content seems to fit. No, that's not true. What I will do, I will add some margin to the top and left and right of the header, so it has some margin, so it's not like completely to the side. So I will say margin. Let's try 1 rem first. Okay, that seems to be all right. Now it seems that these things are not aligned properly, so I can try to say line item center. That makes a little change, but makes it a little bit better. Okay, so the next thing are the fonts. I can go down here to the next section. I will call this welcome. Yeah, just welcome. And I can go to the inspect tab. And here I see some styles. However, I can remove this. And we have the class. It's called welcome message. Copy that as well. So now we changed the font, but you do see it looks different. And that's because they are using a font DM Sans. Now we can import that, and I know this is a Google font, so we can go to fonts.google.com, and it was called DM Sans. There we go. You can click it, and then I want to have the regular, the medium, and bold. I click right here, add import, and now I can import this part in my CSS. And I can say that the body, so everything in the body should have a font, should have this specific font. So now see if it, save it, boom, there we go. So I can close that up. So also here I will give it a margin of 1 rem. I have to then say welcome section. Margin 1 rem. Yes, looks good. Now I clicked on a link, I guess. Yes. So now we're going to style the input field. So let's give it a class of search input. So first of all, we got the search input itself, which seems to have these styles. And we also have the text right there. So we can copy and paste that like so. Okay. Now it obviously looks different. So what I can do, I want this to be the full width. So I say width 100%. There we go. Seems to be a little taller as well. So I will say height. Let's do a guess. 2.5 rem. Looks about good. Yeah. And now you see we have this, first of all, we have this outline. We can set it to none. So we got rid of it. Now you see by default it says search headphone. So we can go back into our HTML file and say placeholder search headphone. Now if we go back, you see it's by default. It says search headphone. And if we type, you don't see it anymore. However, the font is different, and that's because we have to target the placeholder separately. So we can say placeholder, and you can actually copy and paste the font details or the font styling, and now it has the styling. So we see the search icon, and there's a little trick you can do, because a lot of times you have to make a search input and there has to be something in front or at the end of the input. So what you could do right here, we could say background, and we'll give it a URL, and we will target, or at least grab the search icon. And now if I save it, it will completely fill it out. So we can say no repeat, but now the position is not right. So what I could do, however, is I could say I want to have it on the left, and I want to have it centered. So now you see it centers the icon. And what I will do, I will add some padding to the to this input, so the search text and the icon is not overlapping each other. Let's give it 2 rem for now. Actually, this is the top, of course, so I need to get left and right. Okay, and now this one seems to be a little bit too much to the left. Click the link again. So there we go. So I can now, let's say if I say 100%, it will put it to the right. So, and if I do 0%, it will put it, it should put it to the left. Let's do 3%. That seems to be about right. And now we have to increase the padding a little bit. Yes, but this looks good. So now you see the browser, that's pretty nice. By default adds this this icon to remove the text we've entered. Now it's not in the design, but maybe it should be in there, I don't know, but it's a nice to have feature to have for now. So I'll just add a little bit of margin between the input and this part. So I'll take the, I say right here, margin top, actually margin top, 2 rem. It's maybe a bit too much. That's a 1.5, something like that. Yes. All right, so let's go over the next section, this whole part. And we can already start styling it, because it seems to have a background, more grayish background. So let's give this section first a class, and I will call it product section. And we can copy the styles. Now, if you can see it, it is a little, well, it has this color, this sort of light grayish color. But it's not, it's now not to the end, but it does have the border radius. So that's a good thing. We'll not focus on making this card like fitting all the way to the bottom. But we definitely do that in a minute. So let's start styling these this section. All right, so we have an unordered list of list items. I think I'm going to start off with saying these are product categories. Let's see, product category list. And I will give it a flex, or at least display flex. There we go. And now I can Do the same for these ones and say this is a product category. I just have to copy and paste this right here. There we go. So we go back to Figma to see what styles we need to apply. There we go. And it seems to be that they also have a bit of margin. So let's give it a margin of 2 rem maybe. Yeah, for now that seems to be all right. Now we can also see that there's an active link. So I can change this, for example, to active, and product category active. I can essentially copy these styles, but I will say it has a background and a border radius, and the color of course should be let's see, the only difference seems to be the color. So we can add it right there. Now if I go back, we should also save the HTML file. There we go. And I can add a little bit of padding as well. Let's say padding, something like this. Ooh, that's too big. That is still a little on the, well, it's not too bad. What I can do right here is I can take the, let's see, the product category, and I could say, no, sorry, product category list. And now we have to say align items center. So we center these, this content. And I can also give it some margin. Let's give it a margin of 1 rem. So we are actually, now this seems to be fine. I will give it a margin top of 2 rem. I think it should be padding actually. Yes, there we go. So now we got a little bit of distance between the top of the card and these product categories. And again, of course, I mean, it seems that they're a little bit closer together, which you can, by the way, fix. But the idea is more to get you used to, yeah, doing HTML and CSS, and it doesn't have to be pixel perfect for now. All right, so then we have this card. Let's move over. So we'll get that article tag. We'll get the class and we'll say main product. Yes, there we go. Let's see what stylings are applied to this. I think this will already, yeah, there we go. Also here I will add some margin to kind of like have some space between the gray background and the white card. So now we are, well, like I said before, this is in our left div, this is the image. So I could say for the main product that I want to have a display, flex, save it. Now we can import the image actually. So let's do that. Assets, add phone. And now we can, for example, style the title. So it's a class main product title, class main, actually this is let's call it call to action. Okay, so we got the title. Now I will apply these styles. Perfect. And we've got the link, which I could say is class main product. I will actually name this call to action, this main product shop now. So let's change this as well in our CSS. Or didn't we style it yet? No, we didn't style it yet. Okay, great. All right, so now I will take that main product CTA and I want to remove that default link styling. So is it text decoration, none. There we go. All right, pretty good. So now I can give this main product shop now. We can give it the proper styling. Let's see, there we go. You see it's a lot of repetition, but this is, you know, this, yeah, in the end this is a part of front-end development, and it's really, it's a good skill if you know how to work well with CSS and HTML. But not every developer likes the CSS part, which you can understand to some degree, but I think it's pretty fun. Can definitely be relaxing. So let's see, the CTA, we have to the display flex. There we go. Perfect. Looking pretty good. Now the shop, now I will give it some margin right to well, increase the distance between the shop now text and the arrow. So I say maybe 2 rem. That's too much. Maybe 1. There we go. So what I can do now is I can give that that card, that main product card, I can give it some padding. Maybe something like this. And I could say, because we've got our product, this div and this image. No, wait a second. I have to actually, this div right here, I could set a class to it, and I will call it main product info. Let's see, my product title should be right here. And again, that's also a good practice to keep your CSS in the same order as HTML, because otherwise it's get pretty hard to find things, and I recommend you to kind of like have a one-to-one representation of your HTML in your CSS file. So here I could say display flex, and now of course it will, if I save it, we'll put it in a row direction, but I can say flex direction column, and then I could say justify content between, space between. There we go. And now it will increase the size and push that shop now call to action to the bottom. So this is looking pretty good so far. Of course it looks a little different because the screen and the design is a little smaller, but I think we did a pretty good job. So let's continue with featured products. So here we've got the section. I will say featured product section, products section. And you might guess it already, we're going to use a display flex. And then we can say justify content, space between. And we will add some margin again of 1 rem to have things aligned properly. And now to see all, let's see, well, first let's take the featured products text. So we could say featured products title. So go back to Figma. There we go. And then we've got the link. Class. And I will say featured products link. And again, the naming is, you know, I think if you're trying to make it as clear as possible what thing you are targeting, you are doing a good job, because in the end it's for you to understand the code if you might not check it for a while, or also for other developers to understand what you have been making. But I have to say, naming is always a difficult thing. It's always difficult. So text align right, we can remove that one. Boom, save it. Yes, and again, this is an anchor tag, so we can say text decoration none to remove that underline. Okay, so we come to the last part where we are going to make these cards. So we have the featured products section, or actually, no, here, the article. So I call this a featured product. And I think it has the exact same styles as the card we made before. So you can try it. There we go. Let's take a look. Of course, it's a little too big, but it's no problem for now. We can change that. So the image, this one is going to be a headphone. Featured product title. And we got a featured product price. So let's apply the styles. There we go. Same here. Oops. Not sure what went wrong there. Price. Let's save it. Okay. So now for that product, we can say display flex and put it in a column. So flex direction column. Right, that's way too big, of course, but now we can decrease the width of this card. Let's say this is about 40%, but I won't be using percentages right here. I will just keep them. I can do width, set it, for example, to 10 rem. It seems to be pretty good. It's a little smaller, I think, maybe 8, 9, something like that. All right, and now I will add this new card. So that's why I didn't add it in the first place, because right now I can simply copy and paste it, which makes it a little easier. And here we have the text, of course, which is different. The title, the price, And also the image, it's not a headphone, but it should be the cable. So now you'll see it added it down below. But again, we can go to this div, call it featured products, products list, might be better. Let's see, featured product. So I'll add it right here, and I'll say display flex, and that will put it in a row position. Okay, so I think we have to add some margin right here. Let's go to the welcome section margin. Let's give it margin top. You can do it like this. You could say margin top 1 rem, and for all the other properties we want to have 1. But you could also do it like this. So we have 1 rem and we say margin top is 2 rem. Cool. So let's shrink down the screen size a little bit to see if there are no big differences in the design. I think it looks pretty well. And again, yeah, here are the featured products. Let's see, featured products section, featured products section. Give it also some margin of 2, or actually margin top of 2 rem. There we go. Pretty nice. Yeah, so I think this is not too bad. Now you can see we could scroll to the side, and that's because we have some content that's kind of like getting out of the divs. So we could say, again, it's not a very good practice, but for this we could say do the all selector. So now we will target everything. So for example, if I say color red, it will not make everything red, but what it will do, because we all override the colors already in the class selectors right here, but I could say overflow X, so on the horizontal axis hidden, and there we go. Now we cannot scroll to the side anymore. Yeah, so I think the design looks pretty good, except for, look right here, what we can do is, because right here in the design, it seems to be properly aligned. We could give the, let's take a look. We could put these 2 p tags in a div. We say, for example, class, product, featured product details. Close the tag right here. And I will also do that for this card. Oops. Just like that. So now I can put down, let's see, feature product title. So now I could say it should have, for example, width of 30% of the card. Or sorry, a height. Yep. And now I can put the feature product, because we have the flex properties assigned to it. So now I could say justify content space between, and that will again push the content down. So now it's now they are properly aligned, and so I think the design looks pretty good. It's not, of course, like, well, here we could, let's change that as well, the links, or at least the product category. Let's see, here we go. Let's put this to 1.5. I think that might look better as well on the Pixel phone. Yes. So the goal of this video, of course, was to make, well, design that is somewhat similar to the one in Figma. It's not pixel perfect, and to make it really nice I would suggest you to go on and try to really make it look almost identical to the design. So last but not least, I would like to talk with you about the style reset CSS file. So what we could do, we could comment out this code. This, for example, is commented out code. And we can do that as well for this by pressing Ctrl/ and save it. Now you see it completely messes up our styling as expected, because right now in your DevTools you can see user agent style sheet, and this is actually default styling being applied to your p tags, for example, and much more. Now, back in the days, there was this problem where well, most of the browsers apply different styles, so your website could look completely different on, for example, Internet Explorer versus Chrome. Now, as of today, most people say it's not a big problem anymore, which could be, I personally don't know. But I personally don't really like this default styling being applied, because you see now everything is pretty, you know, their distance is simply too much. And then you can work with negative margins, or you could say margin, set margin to 0, so it will remove it. But that's a lot of work and things you have to think about every time. So what I personally like is to use something like this, a CSS reset file. There's a lot of developers that use this, and it will just add this. You can see its style sheet, but it removes the default styling by the browser. At least it doesn't remove it, because you see it's still there, but it does override it. So that was it for this video. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next one.